Welcome to Video Head Cleaner, the poppin' podcast where two or more homosexuals take a big hit of a movie of our choice and hopefully leave your head spinning with our takes. Today we're actually going to be talking about 1999's The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. What do you remember from this movie, Tommy, before we get into anything?
Well, Kyle, it's been a while since I've watched this film. I watched it when it was first released, 1999, but, it's a solid 6 years ago.
I don't like that math either.
Yeah. and I haven't watched it just start to finish since, So, this was kind of a reintroduction to the film, and, when I watched it the first time, I was teenager, so much more critical about the film now. But honestly, I think this film has actually held up pretty well. I actually very much enjoyed it. In fact, I even thought the CGI really held up well, which I was very surprised by.
Yeah, it's certainly some 1999 CGI. It's funny that you say this is the first time you've seen it like front to back too, because this is definitely a movie that I would catch on like TBS, TNT or something, where it would just be on one afternoon and I wouldn't get it all, but I'm like, you know what, I am going to watch this because it just was a really fun movie. And
we'll definitely get into discussing it, but honestly, this is a solid film. I don't know. I didn't have any real quibbles about it. I was kind of surprised. I was expecting to think that, oh, well, what a terrible film. I can't believe it. No, actually, I still like it.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised.
Honestly, and we'll get to it at the end of all this, but the reviews are a little lower than I would think for this because I also had no beef with this movie. And it could just be, again, this hit in a time in our lives because I was, 11, 12 or something, pre-teenager, and you're right there that this was honestly just something beloved to us and whatnot. Maybe we are missing something, but I don't know. We watched it back, and the only thing that really, really, really surprised me was that this was not Billy Zane. And I swear to God that this was Billy Zane playing the Mummy.
You were convinced.
I was 100% convinced that's who this was. And it was only when the credits rolled, I was like, what the fuck?
No, that's the villain from Titanic, another film, I think 1999 as well. So
But if you put pictures of them next to Billy Zane and Arnold Vosloo, that they are the same person.
Yeah, have you seen them in the same room? No, you haven't. So there you go. Yeah, no, the definite Billy Zane-like qualities, just kind of in his like. I don't want to say he has a fat face. That's not the right word. He just kind of has his bone structure. Let's say that.
It's everything if you look at pictures. But that shook me for sure of remembering this. But
shall we dive in?
We'll talk about that later more, I imagine. But let's get into this. So let's start. I mean, it really does just kind of it has a cute thing where it opens in the Universal Studios logo and then really just jumps into it. It's like 5 seconds in.
Yeah.
There's not like 18 production studio company intros like you have nowadays in movies.
That was refreshing. No more deception about a film like, it was like the Family Guy joke. Oh, what a nice looking lighthouse. Must be a neat story. Oh, that's a production company.
Okay, we're back.
Oh, jeez.
There's a dark castle now. Now we're gonna get to. Oh wait, no, that's also.
Come on. Yeah.
So it jumps right in from there. Like it does actually do a cute thing where the Universal logo sort of burns into a sunset or fades into that, and we open up in Thebes, Egypt or whatnot. And we kind of get a guy narrating that we really don't see for like 20, 25 minutes into the film. He, as we discover, this is Ardeth Bey, a member of a secret society called the Magi, played by Odette Fier. He as we discover, he is standing watch over some action taking place at a what's the name of it? Hamunaptra. Yeah.
It's,
well, we'll get to him, I guess. But it is weird that you mention his name now. They don't mention his name at all till the second movie. Like he does not get called anything this entire movie.
I didn't realize that actually, but you're right. Like Do they ever? They don't say his name.
No, not one time in this movie do they say this person's name.
Did I just miss that this entire time? No, they don't actually just say his name.
I kind of was watching for it, clocking it, because when I was writing these notes, I was like, okay, the narrator, the guy, and I was waiting at any point to update in my notes this guy's name, and then the credits roll, and I'm like, oh, okay. Ardith Bay.
I just missed that. Okay.
Champion of the people here, but
nameless.
But he goes on with his very beautiful monologuing early on. Yeah, this is the voice we hear for this whole Overwatch, or this whole like sort of oversetting scenes. So it talks about Thebes, city of the living, crown jewel of Pharaoh Seti the First, home of Imhotep, and all these things. I mean, he honestly goes for a while. He's very long-winded on this, but he talks about how this is Anck-su-namun, the Pharaoh's girlfriend type something,
That's
mistress.
Right,
no other man was allowed to touch her, and frankly, I see why. She's kind of snatched in the opening situation. Apparently,
she is rocking that Egyptian chic.
Yeah.
Yes, serving up some Egypt fantasy for us all.
And apparently, the actress was literally only wearing like a loincloth and pasties, and everything else is like 4+ hours of body paint like going on right there.
It looked awesome. Yeah, it looked awesome.
It very much did. Yeah. She looks like a woman worth cheating on. And so this is what we just jump into, where we see that that's what's happening. Not Billy Zane, no. Mr. Imhotep. It's meeting in his chambers with an Anck-su-namun, beautiful woman, and he's got some golden bros sort of holding the doors for him.
Yeah, he's got his dudes, his priests, who are assisting in their tryst, their love affair, taking place under the nose of the pharaoh. How dangerous.
And they kind of fail immediately at it, because they go to bar the door to be like, well, you guys can love in peace. And then the pharaoh's guards kick it in and we're like, not on my watch.
So yeah, the pharaoh discovers what they have been doing, that his beloved is unchaste, and he is betrayed by his high priest, his closest confidant. This, of course, leads to his terrible revenge against both of them. Shall we get into the details?
Yeah. I mean, he literally gets stabbed in the back by his wife, for one thing. He's kind of turning around, expressing shock at Imhotep, being like, bro, why?
Yes,
but
that is right. They do kill the pharaoh. It is actually the remnants of what's left of the pharaoh's guard who.
Yeah, because it's just the pharaoh that burst into first. I did get that wrong in that sense, but he's stabbed pretty immediately and is obviously upset about this. He reaches up that one sad hand of why?
Dude. Yeah.
Et tu, Bruto Tep? Like, what are we?
Babe, come on, really? Yeah, exactly. No, I got to say, just before we continue, if I ever have concubines, I'm gonna cover them in body paint. What a great device for a megalomaniacal type. If I ever become that, Kyle, I'm just letting you know now. I'm gonna paint my harem. Anyway.
And you can see when your harem's body paint is smudged like that, because that's what he clocks in on. He's like, somebody touched you.
Exactly.
You were here for 5 hours in your makeup chair, but somebody's messed it up. Like,
oh no, painting on big fat handprints is just all the fashion. Yeah, exactly. All right, so where were we?
The guards kick the door in after that, and they see that Pharaoh is dead, dying, something of that nature, and so they're clearly gonna start fucking things up. They start messing with the priests and imprisoning him.
The priests' tongues are cut out as part of their punishment. They're mummified alive. Presumably, what's left of them is then buried. I guess not alive, but still.
Yes. Before we get to that, just to finish that scene in their chambers, though, like the guards, I don't know if they're slow or Imhotep's fast, but he's out the door, and Anck-su-namun very confidently just kills herself and says, hey, you can resurrect me, which to me insinuates that she must have seen him resurrect people before, because she just whips that knife out real quick to do a suicide,
She's real confident about this, which, hey, atta girl.
I don't know if he just told her this before, like to sound cool, like, hey, I can resurrect people, but like, she sure believed him, if nothing else.
He's got a bad bitch girlfriend, and she does not waste time. Yeah.
And it turns out she's right, because the next thing we see, he's taking her body to Hamunaptra and the organs and stuff. enough, he does abscond with her, and that's when he's followed by the guard, unbeknownst to him, where he's real close to doing the ritual. Like her little inky 1999 CGI ghost is like hovering right on her.
Yes. But so close yet so far. Interrupted right before consummating the deed, and what then happens in Imhotep is pretty gruesome. It's called the Hamdai, a curse so horrible that it had never been bestowed before. It was just that terrible. And yeah, it is. Involves various terrible things being done to his body. I believe his tongue was cut out.
There's
his
definitely
organs
tongue
removed.
cutting. Yeah,
he was mummified alive and then placed in a sarcophagus with flesh-eating scarab beetles. What?
So,
what? Yeah, they do a number.
It's horrible. First of all, they really get into like the what's going on with this curse later, and it doesn't seem like you would want to inflict this on your enemy. It kind of makes you a little powerful, but apparently in the novelization they go a bit more into this, and the fact that he is buried with these scarabs where they're just like ravaging him throughout all of time, and occasionally he'll get hungry enough to eat some of them to sustain his own life, and then just cause this horrible circle of death life in there. Because he's supposed to have been kept alive this whole time. That's why this curse is partly so horrible.
Yeah.
Is that?
And that's an important point. He is not. He's not killed. They just Hamdai him. They Hamdai him hard and good. But he's dead. ... Or is he?
And that's why they'd stash him in the ground. Although apparently the hole they dug in the ground to put this person in forever was like 5 foot deep. Like they really didn't care that much.
They spent their budget on the Hamdai, and at that point they had 5 minutes.
They have 3,000 years to watch over the shallow hole. Apparently, where they're like, I hope nobody.
I mean, you don't think someone's going to come back from that, so I guess it's understandable. Sure, but. Anyway.
But they do cut his tongue off, and I have in my notes, parentheses, rude. And they lock it with a special key, intending, yes, to keep him buried for all time, and undead for all time. If he does get unburied, we hear our narrator say that he will rise as a walking plague, bringing disease with the power of ages, power over the sands, and, just a little glory of invincibility. So, once again... maybe not the best curse to put on your enemies, or if you do, maybe dig a deeper hole. I'd say,
you can't kill what's already dead, right? So apparently they hadn't figured out a lot of crazy, weird magic stuff, but not that. Which okay.
They didn't figure out how to throw somebody down a well. I guess.
Yeah.
Or really.
Why not just incinerate them? I don't know. I mean, yeah, exactly. Like just down a well, in the ocean. Anyway. Yeah, they had to style off of them, and it doomed us all, or does it?
It certainly gives it its best shot there. Yeah. So that's done. This opening scene whole thing, we see basically him being put into the ground. He is the mummy, as we will quickly surmise of this all. But then it jumps to 3,000 years later. So we do a little time skip as a treat.
Time goes by. Things happen, and we find ourselves in the midst of a gun battle at these same ruins, right? Hymenoptera once again.
Yes.
This time it's a squad of legionnaires, French Foreign Legion legionnaires, pinned in at Hymenoptera, and they are being attacked by looks like some tribal warriors.
Yeah, so they don't really actually define in the scene. It is 1923. I kind of had written down like British coated army, like in the white there, because they do look legionnaire-ish.
I had to do a little homework on this, right? The main character, or the corporal of this legion, Rick O'Connell, played by Brendan Fraser. We discover later that he's garrisoned in Libya. Right, and this is where we need to do the more you know little historical interlude here. Why are there so many white people in Egypt? Interesting question, Tommy. I know, Tommy. Thank you. So a little history here. We have the remnants of British colonialism that is starting to unravel. The British have formally declared Egypt to be independent, but they still have a very large military presence there. They still occupy the Suez Canal. They're still very much in Egypt. They still have a lot of influence, mainly just because of military presence. So that will perhaps explain some characters who we will meet later. But Brendan Fraser's character, Rick O'Connell, he mentions that he is garrisoned in Libya. Well, the French had quite a military presence in the area as well, in particular Libya, where they had legionnaires. And presumably this character, Rick O'Connell, is a member of the French Foreign Legion. Again, so they make sure that they can explain why an American might be there. So yeah, little historical background as to just why it makes sense to cast Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, because we are jumped into this scene completely not knowing that at all, and it is funny seeing all of these. Yes, again, very foreign, very 1920s coded, whatever, and then Brendan Fraser's American 1990s accent just busting out there. So it's a fun time, and he does mention later his work with a British or something. But yes, so there's a French-British something army here, and then we have the other army sort of in black. It's very native coded, and frankly could be comprised fully of the Magi. We're not sure at this point, but it is very black and white, truly in the coding and the coloring and whatnot. And there's just armies clashing over the city of Hamunaptra. We later find out they may have been there for conquering, colonization, or potentially just treasure in Hamunaptra.
Just greed. They were tempted. They were too tempted, and they have abandoned their post to find and loot what they can, but they get pinned in by some kind of tribal attack.
Big old horseback, everybody charging at them because, they're just on foot and sort of there. And this is why it also would make sense for it to be just the Magi or something, because they are not happy that this other army is in Hamunaptra. Which they're guarding, again, for 3,000 years in the interim of this scene. So get the fuck out of here.
Well, guarding, I guess. People are just crawling all over the site. They're observing, I guess.
They do love to stand up on a cliff several times and just watch people walk in occasionally.
Yes. Standing vigil. But, presumably, this is a long dead secret, or so they hoped, right? They have been guarding this by keeping this place or the secret of Hamunaptra concealed for 3,000 years, and I guess they have done quite a good job because only until now does anyone actually stumble into the long lost chamber, right?
For sure. And it's coded in the sense of the guards we see at the very beginning have the same face tattoos. We see these mysterious men in black overlooking on a cliff here doing and so it's very much show not tell in the sense of like, these are the same guys. This is 3,000 years later in a sense. But so they're not the same guys, but it's like this is the same sort of mission they're on. And so this is when we also meet not only Brendan Fraser, but one of our comic relief characters in the movie, Benny, who, as they're lining up sort of as the firing line, everybody's getting ready to shoot, holding their ground, and Benny says, "Oh, actually, no. Wait for me," and runs off after a fleeing man running off. So Brendan Fraser sort of looks back like, "You son of a bitch," and just has to go back to fighting there. But Benny runs off into the temple itself type something, or into the area deeper into that. But lots of fighting ensues. There's a lot of gunfighting in this, a lot of unnamed people going down, going, "Ah," with Wilhelm screams or any number of things.
That Benny runs into the temple and that we don't see him die will become relevant later. So we'll just leave it at that.
For sure. When he actually gets in the temple, too, he is, Brendan Fraser's running at the door being like, "Benny, don't close that door on me. Benny, don't close that door on me." He's like, "Benny!"
Yeah, Benny ain't worth a damn. Yeah, not worth a damn.
But Benny does close the door on him. And so that leaves Brendan Fraser, Rick O'Connell, which, again, they don't name him for a long time in this movie. I was waiting forever to get that again, to write things down. But he has at least 7 guns on him at all times. He just whips them out and just... guns these people down again. He has we have no context for the scene. He's just murdering at this point. Like we really, it was very little context given to this entire situation. But he kills a whole bunch of them, and then he finally gets cornered and closes his eyes, expecting to die. And then all of a sudden, the 15 dudes that were going to kill him just decide not to do that, and they hightail it out of there.
Something spooks the warriors. What is that?
It does.
What starts spooking them?
It's kind of behind Brendan Fraser, and again, his eyes are closed, so he doesn't see it. But it seems like something in the sand behind him definitely spooked him out.
Kind of whispering, kind of reverberating. Yeah, there's a presence of something, and the tribal warriors, they have either experienced this before, or they have some inkling perhaps of what it is. They turn tail and run. They don't wait. They don't dither. They just drop everything they're doing. They run, much to Rick O'Connell's confusion and concern.
For sure. And he doesn't get too long to dwell on it, because then sand spurts just do start kind of pumping out of the ground. Things are happening, and he's running off. Yeah, and the last we see of this scene is just one man, Rick O'Connell, basically fleeing into the desert, walking off alone. And our cliff narrator, with fun face tattoos, essentially is like, his friend's like, should we kill that guy? And he's like, no. The desert will kill that guy in a wildly unfulfilled prophecy. 100% come back to bite him in the ass. Like, if the movie would not have happened if they would have just killed Brendan Fraser right there.
Or the mummy, for that matter. The desert keeps on not killing the right people or the wrong people, depending on how you look at it. So it's an unreliable means, for sure. But anyway.
But it's a fun intro. That's our intro to our main character, sort of, Brendan Fraser, who does have, in what I wrote down, the vibe and sort of sex appeal of Indiana Jones. He's kind of got the humor of James Bond, and he has the eyes of Steve Buscemi. So it's a very fun cocktail for our adventure here.
And I'm trying to think, he has the physical grace of, name a big hulking ungraceful actor of the 1990s. Oh, Brendan Fraser. I had forgotten this. Brendan Fraser, he's a good actor, but he just, I don't know. He just kind of has a hulking, inelegant quality to how he moves. I'm trying to think of the right way of putting this.
I think that's right, because the reason he was hired for this movie was right off the back of George of the Jungle, where hulking and ungraceful was 100% his vibe.
And Encino Man. He had a type. He had a mode, for sure, and it worked well. So anyway.
That is interesting. But then we get to a great character scene, honestly, an amazing character intro scene for our next main character, Rachel Wise, Evelyn in this sense. 3 years later in Cairo, we are taken into a library where we see her putting up books and quickly getting herself into almost a vaudevillian scene where she leans back on a ladder to put a book on the other shelf behind her because she's whoa, whoa, and then ends up in the middle of the things, sort of standing on the ladder like via stilts in this way, where she's like, oh no, what have I done? But, what do you want to say about the scene?
I had totally forgotten this scene was in the film. This is structurally in a film where members of the audience sometimes go back to the concession stand, or they go to the bathroom, or they're getting in late, or something. And so it's kind of a scene that I don't know if it's necessary. It I guess suggests something about the character. She's smart, but she sometimes starts some chain reactions that get kind of out of control. It's maybe a little bit of foreshadowing, of what's coming, by way of this character even, like it's
very much it's that, because it's like showing that she's book smart and world bad. Like she is bad at navigating the world around her.
There you go.
Because what happens after she's on the ladder, she tips into a bookshelf, which knocks every bookshelf in the room over.
Exactly.
And she's just left in like a smoldering rubble of her own doing.
of knowledge and destruction. Yeah.
To the point that her boss runs in and is like, what the fuck is this? Like, and just drags the shit out of her. He literally says things like, give me frogs, give me flies, give me locusts, anyone but you. And he calls her a catastrophe with like a sick history burn to boot, being
ironically enough, she will deliver to him exactly these things. But we'll get to that later.
It's a very foreshadowy scene, all things considered, looking back. But it's just a funny scene to see, this woman being, oh my God, how did this happen? As I just ruined like an entire library in one fell swoop of
Yes.
And then their boss asked her, he's like, why do you think I keep you around? And she's like, because I'm good at my job. And he's like, no, like that's, look around. No, like he's like, because your parents donated a lot to this museum. Like,
yeah. So they are, I suppose, orphaned in Egypt and taken into the care of the director of the museum, who is scolding her in this scene, but is kind of I guess like a father or uncle figure,
yeah,
something like that.
That's a funny note, too, in the sense we really get very little backstory about this, about Evelyn and Jonathan's parents. Apparently that's also covered more in the novelization, like the actual what happened to their parents, maybe a bit how they met type something, but we really don't get a whole bunch of backstory to any of our characters, largely.
But, again, end of British colonialism, there's still a very large British presence in the area, and so it's plausible that, sure, her family relocated to Cairo and was wealthy, but they died, but after being beneficiaries or benefactors of the museum. So,
for sure. And yeah. So that's happened. Boss kind of storms off, gets tired of reading her to filth, and says, like, clean this up. And then she's doing so and hears a noise and gets a bit apprehensive, and so she kind of starts looking around and isn't quite sure what's going on, and then she eventually peeks into a sarcophagus where a mummy lunges at her.
Oh my God! But no, it's her brother, Jonathan, our other comic relief. We had Benny; he's kind of evil comic relief, but then we have Jonathan, who's good comic relief. He's one of the good guys. He's kind of, what can I say? I wouldn't say a schmuck. He's kind of...
He's a ne'er-do-well,
a ne'er-do-well. Sure. Yes, there you go. That's the word.
He delights in all these references to him cheating or gambling or womanizing or doing whatever else, but he does have a...
Kind of a dandy, yes.
Yeah, he's a shorter, charming British man who just manages to skate by on life through a lot of that we see.
On charm and theft.
He literally has a vibe about him that's like, I can't stay mad at you, Jonathan. You're too adorable. Like, no matter what garbage he's getting up to.
Exactly. And so after using a mummy as a prop to prank his sister, we discovered that he has a fascinating object in his possession. He has a puzzle box that... after Evelyn tinkers with it, it opens up, and it apparently has 8 what do you like sharp triangle points coming off of it. It expands out, but it contains a map. A papyrus map on it.
It's got a map to Hominoptera, and if you're a viewer, I mean, it's barely been any time since the opening scene, but we've seen the same thing in the opening scene. We sort of know what it is to a degree, but yeah, Evelyn's like, oh, what a cute little puzzle box or something, instead of like a star-shaped apocalypse opener or whatever. But she's kind of like shocked that Jonathan actually has something like this, because apparently he's just, again, a ne'er-do-well, and she's like, this is actually like something, and if she finds the map, she's like, oh, this is like really something, Jonathan. Like,
yeah, this is potentially quite a discovery. I mean, they think it's just a historical artifact, something, a neat trinket from a site, but we will discover it is far more significant than that. The map they present to Terrence Bay, the director of the museum, and while examining it, he almost burns it.
He full on lights it on fire. Like, he's like holding it up to get more light on it and holds it over the candle. and then it's not that apologetic that he burned this like priceless artifact. Quite quickly upon seeing it.
Yeah, he's got some real toot when it comes to this. You would think that the director of a museum would be a little bit more concerned about just whoopsie doodle lighting an ancient map on fire.
A map to a city that's thought to be mythical at this point. Like, 3,000 years ago in the opening scene, we see it as the city of the dead, but it's been so long and it's buried by sand and stuff that it's truly not known to even be real at this point.
Yeah, at this point, it's a fable. It's a myth, like a long-lost city of gold, as it were. And apparently any number of archaeologists or treasure hunters have pursued it, and all for nothing. And so one,
or for their own death, apparently.
or for or worse.
While he's being
yeah.
unapologetic, he's basically saying, "That was probably for the best, anyways."
Yeah.
And
we saw what you did to my library. let's not tempt you any further.
Oh, did I burn a tiny corner of your map when you ruined my library?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, poor Evelyn.
Exactly. All right. Well, after almost incinerating the map,
she has to try to learn where it came from, right? Or from.
Their curiosity has definitely been piqued, and they want to know what this map is about, and so they need someone who could actually get them to Hamunaptra. It's a real trek. It's not safe, as we've seen already, and so who do they turn to? Well, as it turns out, Rick O'Connell has washed up again. This is about 3 years later, after the opening scene of him pinned in at Hamunaptra. And Evelyn and Jonathan, they find him in a Cairo prison.
And they're here because Jonathan actually picked his pocket.
Yes.
He calls it picking the pocket of a local drunk. And so we do see him being brought out because she went to the jailer, a greasy ball of a man that also has some comic relief coming up here. But Evelyn's charming the jailer. Jonathan's sort of apprehensive to visit this man that he's robbed, frankly, to come ask questions about the thing that he stole from him. And
Rick, he's kind of a wild man at this point. The last 3 years have not been kind to him, or he's been having a go of it. He's landed in prison. Why was he in prison again? Was it gambling or was it drunken disorderly conduct?
They really don't specifically say why, but they say that Brendan Fraser's character says it's because I was just having fun or having a good night. And then later in the scene where we find out he's to be executed, the jailer remarks, he must have had a really good night. And so it's played a bit for laughs, but yeah, he's got long hair. He's again called a drunk in this scene type something.
What he does for entertainment is a mystery. However, it's enough to get him in a Cairo prison. So there you go.
Yeah,
and is enough to get him hanged or almost. He fortunately doesn't. Evelyn frees him with a kiss.
Well, he's just trying to get out, and frankly, he's happy to take a kiss and steal one because he's not sure if he's about to die, frankly. And so they're asking him questions, and he says something like, do you really want to know? Do you really want to know? And she's like, yes, a little innocent Evelyn, and leans forward. And that's when he steals the kiss, and is like, then get me out of here.
So they how do they free O'Connell? I forget this one point. Oh, that's right. They entice the prison warden.
Well, he's swinging by his neck when that happens.
Yeah,
so that we move to quickly where they are going to hang this man, and Evelyn just tries to offer him 200, 300, 400 pounds or something at
points,
first
basically,
to be
basically half,
just a little bit of cash, and the jailer's not really having that, and so he's like, actually, just hang that man. And as he's swinging there, Evelyn clearly has a bit more fire under her to get this deal done, and so she starts offering things like, I'll give you like half the treasure, and then they start negotiating down, and they get to. The jailer says like 25% after she said 30, and she's like, oh, I got you. And the jailer's like, you got me. Cut him down, type something. And just a note on this scene, apparently they did this really, really practical in the sense of Brendan Fraser almost died in this scene. The director's quote, I believe, let me find this, but...
They almost hanged Brendan Fraser.
They almost murdered Brendan Fraser for sure. He had to be resuscitated. Like he fully had passed out and was done. And the director, Stephen Sommers' only direction, according to Brendan Fraser later, was, look good, don't die. And then he shoved him and said, action.
What a madman. Wow. Okay.
This is what we had before CGI, folks. Was movies where
we had insane directors. That's how we did it back in the day, kids.
Really practical effects.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a method acting right there. Just hang the actor. Jeez.
Yeah. But
Awesome.
he's cut down, and then now we do have a small semblance of a party, because not only do we have Evie and Jonathan, we now have Rick leading the way, and we have a jailer coming along to make sure to protect his investment, as he classifies it.
So we now have our expedition party here. We have Evelyn and Jonathan, we have Rick, and we now have the prison warden. And yeah, they set off, right? Or wait, no, we have one more moment. The Magi come looking for them, right?
I think that happens on the boat. Hang on. Let's see. But Jonathan does get punched in the face by Brendan Fraser at that jail scene, too.
Yes. Before we forget.
Do I know you? And Jonathan says, no, I don't think so. I just got one of those faces near the bars. And Brendan kind of cocks his head at him and then just punches him right in the face. And I think Jonathan deserves this, frankly, because this is also the scene where Evie is shocked that Jonathan lied to him about finding the puzzle box himself. And Jonathan says, I lied to everyone. Why do you think you're special? And so we get another bit of characterization about Jonathan being a dirtbag. But I can't say mad at you, dirtbag, because he's just so charming about it. Yeah.
And, Rick does just punch Jonathan square in the face. And we were comparing this character to, like, Indiana Jones. Mm-hmm. And, I watched a couple of Indiana Jones. I watched Temple of Doom kind of recently, and I had forgotten that Indiana Jones is kind of violent. And it's
he just punches people for sure.
Yeah, they definitely did pattern Brendan Fraser's character off of this, just in the fact that he just punches people, just on a whim. But anyway.
There's an Indiana Jones game I played called Fate of Atlantis, which is back in DOS days, to really age myself. But there were 3 ways you could solve things as Indiana Jones. There were 3 diverging paths. One of them is like intellect. The other is you can do it like a sort of teaming up, like friendship, and one of them is fists. You can just punch a lot of Nazis as Indiana Jones with fists. So yeah, honestly, that's easily the archetype mapped over this character. He's just very Indiana Jones in general. But
yes.
And so they're setting off in a very, I know a bit of archaeology about this spot, sort of Indiana Jones way. They're getting on a boat, which is very Indiana Jones coded or whatever, because he ends up on several of those in those movies. And that is when they find that not only are they trying to get to the city of Hamunaptra, there's another party looking for them.
Yeah. Do you remember Benny, Rick's so unreliable right-hand man and lieutenant back at the Battle of Hamunaptra? Well, Benny's back, and he's bringing a whole crew of Americans with him, treasure hunters. They got a scholar with him, but this is a counter party to our main protagonists, and they are also looking for Hamunaptra. They have their guide. They're kind of the I wouldn't say the shadow of our main party, but they're kind of the counterpoint. Right, they're a bit greedier, but I don't know. They're all kind of on the same ship of fools, as it were.
Oh, for sure, because we meet them
to their doom.
They're gambling with Jonathan when we meet them, and at first it's not even clear if Benny is like how they've learned about this or somebody. Jonathan's just running his mouth. That's what they learn, because they learn they're like, oh, we're going to Hamunaptra just like you, O'Connell, and Rick's like, what the.
Yeah.
Who the fuck told you that? And then Jonathan, it pans over to him, and you're like,
Yeah. Jonathan's leaking like a sieve. Unfortunately, he spilled the beans. They are now revealed as a competition.
And we do find there they make a bet. They say we're going to get to Hamunaptra first, and it's just a minor monetary bet or something. But they find out they're headed to the same place, essentially. And so we go down to another scene where O'Connell is talking to Evie. He rolls out his very large, dangerous bag of guns, knives, and a full-on grappling hook, which I don't think gets used in this movie. But by God, if he needs to grapple somewhere, he is prepared.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Well, you never know when you need a grappling hook, to be totally honest. I mean... But let's see. So we are preparing for the expedition, but something happened to the boat, right? The boat gets attacked at some point.
Oh, yeah, they're talking. Evelyn says she's kind of looking for the Book of Amon Ra, and it's just like, oh, wow, it'd be so great if we find it. And cynical Rick is like, oh, it doesn't hurt that it's made of gold, does it, huh? Or something. But he's still kind of not sure about her as like a pure academic with no greed in her heart type something, because he's seen a lot of greedy people and a lot of people, just like the Americans we saw in the previous scene, that are looking for Hymenoptera purely for treasure and for gold and for all of those rumors.
They're kind of an odd couple. Evelyn is again, like you described, book smart, world dumb. Brendan Fraser kind of his character's kind of the other way around. Also far more gruff, more hulking, clearly more brutish. Again, a counterpart to the softer, more feminine Evelyn.
Very much so,
yes.
Because she's in that same scene as excited. She's like, you know about the Book of Amun-Ra? And he's like, I know my treasure, like not my
books,
artifacts. Yeah,
I'm not going there to read. Come on.
And she, in that same scene, asks him, why did you kiss me? Kind of still curious about that situation. And he very candidly just says, I don't know, I was about to be hanged, and it sounded like a good idea at the time. And so that doesn't make her happy. She storms off with that one. Then as she storms off, Rick hears a noise, though, and that is when we find out it is Benny. He pulls...
Yes.
Little rat Benny out from behind, making little rat noises back there, and he says a great. There's so many good quotes from this movie. I'm really trying not to just like read a whole lot of them because it's a great movie. Just watch it. But this is when he says like, "Well, if it ain't my little buddy Benny, I think I'll kill you." And Benny says, "Think of my children." And Rick says, "You don't have any children." Benny's like, "Someday I might." Like. They have a very fun interplay, despite being
it's good banter,
quite at odds throughout the whole movie.
Banter.
But we find out Benny's leading the expedition that Jonathan was playing cards with. Benny mouths off, and O'Connell kind of chuckles while throwing him overboard, and has another great line: "Bye, Benny." Because I think he's a bit done with Benny's shit after he almost fully died.
Yeah. Benny's kind of jammed him up a bit already, and here's his, as you point out, he's a very rat-like person. He has very, very rat-like qualities, for sure. Again, he's kind of the evil comic relief. You always enjoy Benny getting thrown overboard or getting punched, or just Yeah,
it's a very cathartic character.
This will be a source of entertainment throughout the film.
But then right after that, a lot of these things happen really quick on the boat. We see wet footsteps insinuating somebody else is on the boat.
Yes.
And that is when we find out that it's the Magi, one of whom grabs Evelyn and immediately asks her where the map is.
Yeah. They're on him. They realize what's going down, and this is their sole mission is to prevent exactly this from happening, and it's just unraveling before them, and so they take direct action and they storm the boat.
And I feel like if they would have even said a little something to Evelyn or anybody, they might have not been what do I have here? Unceremoniously shot to death by O'Connell in the same scene, because they really are not forthcoming about why they're saying not to do this for a while. Like, they're just like, give me the map. And since this is happening to his beautiful love interest, O'Connell doesn't care, and it's just, I started blasting anyways. Like, and he takes out a couple Magi and a lantern, lighting the boat on fire, which seems unhelpful at best. I'll say.
Generally bad when you're on a wooden boat. And so, yes, it's time to jump ship. And they do.
No, not yet. Because in that confusion of that, Evie stabs one of the guys, her captor, in the eye, and runs out but leaves the map behind. O'Connell kind of takes her. Jonathan stumbles in as this man who has been stabbed in the eye is leaning over and is like, oh, it's okay, I'm stabbed in the eye, but I got this puzzle box. But Jonathan just kind of bursts into the room like, where's Evie? What's going on here? And manages to run into this guy, knocking him into a couch full of fire and lighting this man fully on fire. In his bumbling way. And Jonathan kind of looks at that guy and was like, huh, that's weird. And then bends down and picks up the puzzle box himself and just fucking leaves.
He's very nonplussed. And I forgot, Evelyn just stabbed him in the eye. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I mean, the women in this film got knives. Like you got to be careful. They're stabbing everyone.
They do stab people, and it's honestly not that violent of a movie. They get some of the more violent things that happen. But right after Jonathan leaves the burning room, we see that the Magi are burning the boat anyways. So it's like, Good job, Rick, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you're a pioneer. You're a trendsetter, I guess.
They're taking advantage of an opportunity.
Because I was worried. I thought that was where the boat fire came from. But no, they're just lighting things like hay on fire and stuff anyways. But that's when, O'Connell just guns down some more Magi, gets in a fist fight. Apparently there are a lot of Magi, and they do get rather unceremoniously dealt with through a lot of this movie. But then he... kicks into another explosion of flame, and he lights a lot of them on fire too. And then that poor stabbed, burning man, comes up to the top deck to finish Jonathan and kind of burns it. Comes out literally fully on fire, and is like, "I'm gonna get you," pointed at him. But the Americans with their guns just and their big cowboy energy just kind of gun him down. And that's when everybody jumps in the river because. I'm sorry. I thought that flaming stabbed man story was too good to pass up its little side arc of
It's really just when the Americans just start shooting that people are like, "Yeah, we got to go. Like, we got let's just jump in the river."
And so everybody gets in the river from both of our parties at this point. There is another funny line where our greaseball of a jailer sees Rick about to jump overboard and is like, "What do I do?" And Rick goes, "You stay here. I'll go for help." and the jailer sort of like stays for a few seconds, looks around and is like, "Oh, fuck, he was joking, wasn't he?" And then jumps himself overboard too. But
you never want to pass on an opportunity for a gag, for sure.
Not in this movie.
If you're an Indiana Jones-like adventurer, yeah,
if
absolutely.
Rick does anything in these two movies, he shoots people and he has great one-liners.
Quips. Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, this whole scene leads to probably my favorite memorable, like, as a kid line that happened, because the two parties end up on different sides of the river, and the Americans actually do have a lot of the horses and supplies or whatever, and so Benny, in a very braggy way, seeing O'Connell over there with just Evelyn and Jonathan, shouts, "Hey, O'Connell, looks like we got all the horses." And Rick looks around and yells back at Benny, "Hey, Benny, looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river."
Womp womp. Yeah. So they pull out ahead, even though they lose all their supplies. They got only themselves, but they are on the right side of the river, so they do continue into the desert. Right? They get some horses, right?
They get some camels, but frankly,
camels.
Evelyn also has lost all of her trunks and clothing and whatever, and for some reason just gets put in this absolutely pussy outfit of just looking incredible. Like, it's all black. She's got like this mesh, like little veil thing. She's got like high black boots, like a bandolier stash of coins. Like, it's incredible, and it's like, this is just something I just pulled together after being on my no clothes situation.
Yes, Rick, Caesar, his heart's aflutter. He has to catch his breath.
It's very that.
She's
it's like
striking. And,
the librarian
and
can look like this. Like, excuse me. Like,
exactly. It's naughty librarian.
We're going to the club.
Yeah,
where we?
Exactly.
I thought we were going to Hamanoptera. Like,
yeah. She gets a Egyptian glow up and is looking glamorous.
It's like full belly dancer, because I saw some belly dancers at a Ren Fair recently, and it is that outfit essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with the silken face veil with the coins on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry to be your librarian is now just dripping with sex pot,
yes.
as it were. But honestly, this doesn't even stick around for that long. It's just very notable because I was just stunned. I was like, "Girl, you look."
The film has a moment where you get a glimpse of Evelyn's allure and her femininity. You know, again, these moments where Rick and Evelyn are set in contrast, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, rough and tumble versus, soft and silken,
laying the groundwork for the main romantic thing of it.
Exactly.
But yes, they stop there, they get their camels, and then the next thing we see is that they happen to just meet the Americans right outside the city and reiterate their bet and start a little race scene, because they are now racing to see who can get into Hamanoptera first.
Yeah, they're trying to unlock the mystery of this site. And so we have two competing archaeological expeditions happening. We have the Americans kind of in a main camp, and then our protagonists kind of off to the side, kind of in a seemingly more remote part of the complex. But they start exploring. They're investigating. They're digging. They're prying at stones, and they.
I only have one note about the raise. Yeah. It's really not that big of a scene or whatever, but it does happen where Benny's on top of O'Connell at one point, and it's just whipping him. And it's like, just whipping the shit out of Rick until he gets annoyed enough that he grabs Benny and just throws him off his horse because he loves to throw Benny off of things. Like, that is a big theme of this movie.
Exactly.
And Rick and Evelyn do win. Frankly, again, this is for a very minor bet. I don't think we see them get their $500 or whatever. But
we should maybe have had a Benny getting tossed count. This is the second time now. Is this the second time?
Just Benny misfortune counts. Like, he never really comes out on top too much of it.
No.
But yes, at this point they're off in their separate camps, and the one camp is just the four people of Rick, Evelyn, Jonathan, and then the jailer. And then the Americans have a lot of hired labor we're seeing at this point too, like local labor, led by a misogynist in a fez. Yeah, the academic you called out earlier, and jaunty little fez.
Who is constantly shading Evelyn, one snooty scholar to another not so snooty scholar, but yeah, they have their intellectual with them. He is their translator and their knowledgeable source about the inscriptions and the lore surrounding the complex, and has snooty disdain for Evelyn.
And straight out misogyny is mentioned because they'll be like, should we worry about them? And he's like, no, they're led by a woman. Anyways, back to
it's just the times.
But then they're digging in different areas is the thing. They have a much bigger concerted effort with the Americans, their big workforce, whereas our group of heroes and the jailer get into the area where they mummify people, and they kind of find potentially, I think it's the same room where the priests were being detongued and mummified earlier, as they sort of go deeper into the city. There's a very tense moment where they hear something and they pull their guns and sort of round a corner, only for it to be the Americans, where they both turn the corner at the same time and point their guns at each other in a fun little Mexican standoff beat. And then they lower them for a second, and then they raise them, and then they lower them and raise them, and they're like.
but before this, we hear some strange sounds, some whispers, coming from one of the statues, right? A statue of Anubis. We something widgy's going on. We got a glimpse of this in the first battle of Hamunaptra, and now once again, strange sounds are emanating from something. Let's see, is this when they find the Book of Amun-Ra?
Yeah. So they kind of all go separate ways again, and they go back to their dig site in that room type something. Yes, where we're hearing this. She has Rick and Jonathan digging upwards, as she's pretty sure of where they'll come up based on the map and some certain things, while the jailer goes off on his own little treasure hunting mission. So we do see Rick and Jonathan basically knock a mummy out of the ceiling.
Yeah, they're prying at the ceiling. They're doing some digging while the Americans are distracted, and this continues for a bit. And I'm trying to remember when.
Well, what's happening on this too is they do find the sarcophagus, whatever. Honestly, by accident, Jonathan hits like a golf ball and knocks it out of the ceiling after that. But the jailer is he finds these jeweled scarabs on the walls that he thinks are just treasure and just jewels. Yeah. And so he, being as very much shown to the boy, it's just a greedy little scuzzball, starts popping them out in his knife and putting them in his pocket, thinking, just take these. I don't think anybody will mind or anything.
Yeah, he thinks they're like tinted gold, and they look like it. They look like they're just inset in the wall, but oh no.
And right after that, where he's like, this is surely safe. Nothing bad happens in this tomb because things are positive in here. We immediately see the Americans workers get melted via what we find they say to be like salt acid or something.
Yeah. The Egyptians, they got some tricks. They got some ancient deadly booby trap technology, molten salt acid, which, again, anyone in the audience, please contact us. Let us know if this is a thing. I didn't research this. I kind of hope it's true, actually, because it just sounds awesome. But yeah, they get a face full of acid. Not a good sign. Not a great start. And it starts going downhill from there. As we mentioned, the warden is loading his pockets up with beautiful golden beetles. And after some time, they're still digging. They open the sarcophagus and they find the mummy, right?
Well, the jailer, we see right after that, does in fact get scarabs burrowing inside him, and a horrifying scene that frankly threw child me for a little loop at the time, being like, oh no, because it is very body horror. Like they show them burrowing under the skin and moving up his body all throughout.
Yeah, they're I guess they're not eating. I can't imagine they can eat that much, but they can definitely burrow through flesh. And it's got to be pretty gruesome because the things always start at the feet. They never burrow. They're always going to the brain. That's their goal. But they always start in the feet, and just to really milk it for as horrible as it could possibly be. These things, they burrow all the way from the bottom to the top of your body, and then I guess eat your brain.
I think that's how that scene ends, frankly, is a little crunching thing. They do love a cutaway to this because this is supposed to be a very family-friendly film, and despite some horrific things happening to people, they always do manage, for the most part, a cutaway type something.
Yeah, but the implication is pretty clear.
Oh, they're always very clear because
the sound is very much wet celery being ripped apart for sure.
Yeah, the cutaway scenes do come with juicy sound effects often, and so he's pretty well done here on that. But when they do find the sarcophagus, Evelyn translates it as to "he who shall not be named," which to me, I sat back and go, "Oh my God, it's Voldemort!"
Run, Harry.
No.
Kind of. There's some Voldemort qualities here. I guess his canopic jars are kind of like his Horcruxes in a way, you know.
A little bit. Apparently, the real translation is like "he who has no name." Come to find out, but
yes.
I found myself funny in that moment. But she finds the keys needed to open it, and Evie immediately sees, based on the puzzle box thing she has, that this is the key. But they're interrupted from doing it by hearing their jailer's horrified screams by being eaten alive.
He's being ripped apart from the inside by beetles.
So they kind of paused to go check that out.
But yeah, they find. Let's see. They do open it.
Well, yeah, we have. Let's see. They don't open it that day. I think they kind of stop for the night. That's when Rick does describe the American Dickers as having melted. Evie expresses skepticism over the curse over this place, even though previous people have now melted and been eaten to death. She's just. This is just something that happens. This isn't supernatural to Evie.
And we forgot to mention they do find a fascinating book. It is not.
The Americans find the book in there. They find the book in the jars.
But it's not the book that we were looking for. It's not the Book of Amun-Ra, right?
It's not the Golden Book, no, it's for sure.
Some other book.
It's a black book, and it does have that same locking symbol on it that needs the key to sort of open it up. And so we see the Americans expressing joy sort of that night over having found these jars, which we as the viewer know contain the organs of Anck-su-namun. And then the Book of the Dead is this one, I believe.
This we saw in the very beginning. The Mummy was reading from this. This was his spell book for bringing back the pharaoh's wife, Anck-su-namun. And once again, the Book of the Dead has been rediscovered. And later on that night, in the camp, Evelyn reads from it. She starts reading from the Book of the Dead.
They are attacked that night by the Magi, actually, before she's reading for that, I believe. And once again, these people are just gunned down. Do not ever tell them what they're trying to stop them from doing, which again, they might be on board with. These various people might be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. There's a murder apocalypse mummy down there. Let me just get the fuck out of here. But like, the Magi just always come in like, and then
they're committed.
They're not very good at fighting either for being so committed to this. Like, I don't know how this happens, but yeah. But eventually, after enough of the Magi get killed, the leader, again, Ardeth Bay, who was never named in this movie, says like, you know what, there's been enough killing here today, and then just tells them they have a day to get out of here. And then that is when we wake up the next morning. I believe the Americans are still convinced that treasure is down there and suggest perhaps teaming up only at night because they've now been attacked by people they don't know. But Evie has actually, it's not the morning. It's still the nighttime scene. But Evie gets drunk. It's a very, very cute scene. She plays drunk, absent-minded academic extremely cutely. She says to Rick at one point, I bet you're wondering, what is a place like me doing in a girl like this? And Rick says, yeah, something like that.
This film, it's got these great little one-liners that fit with the characters. These little quips, like little turns of phrase or whatnot. Just, I don't know, just delightful little moments like this, right? Just a well-written script.
It's very fun. Yeah. It's very charming. I love this whole movie. It's just bits like that sprinkled throughout that I may not have remembered, but when you hear them, it's just delightful. Yeah, they're just cute, fun little lines. And so Rick says he doesn't really understand her like he does Jonathan, because I think he's very familiar with a Jonathan in the world, a dirtbag, whatever. But as we get some backstory about her father here, we learn that Evie and Jonathan's father was an adventurer who ended up marrying Evie's mother, an Egyptian who was somewhat of an explorer herself. She might have been given a little academic vibe, kind of like Evie, perhaps foreshadowing, again, adventures and academics and whatever, but perhaps being a little of an explorer herself, as it were.
Yeah. So she's got a lineage. She's kind of got it in her blood, as it were. Kind of cloistered librarian, notwithstanding. It's there. She's got the spark.
But she also, again, still being cute and drunk in this, sort of gets confident about expressing her feelings more towards Rick or something, and starts to say that, well, I may not be an adventurer and explorer, but I know what I am. And Rick's like, what is that? And she's like, I'm a librarian.
She says triumphantly into the night.
And she then goes to kiss Rick, which he seems happy about. But at that moment she's about to do that, she passes out. She got too drunk, too cute. But honestly, just a very adorable scene where Evie continues to be the best, sort of, on that.
Yeah.
And so
the budding relationship between the two.
Okay, so we jumped ahead a bit. The Americans did not find this stuff yet. Right after that, in the morning, is when the Americans do find a chest. And the intellectual, jaunty, fez misogynist translates the inscription as, death comes on swift wings to whosoever may open this chest. And then they open it. They think, what's the worst that could happen? Right?
No one reads. No one reads the warnings. Yeah, exactly.
He also reads, there's one, the undead, that if brought back from the dead will kill all who open this chest and assimilate their organs and fluids, and in doing so, he will regenerate and no longer be the undead, but a plague upon this earth. They read that too before opening it. They don't only have the first thing that's like, hey, don't open this box. They have something that's like, no, really, don't fucking open this box if you like your organs and fluids. But they're like, that's probably fine. I can't imagine why anything bad would happen with messages like these on there.
They tried really hard, and they explained it all in detail. And some people they can't be helped. Like the more details you give them about the terrible fate that will befall them, the more they think, they're crazy. They're just making stuff up. They're hallucinating. Sometimes you just got to put a big nose slash or like a skull, a big poison skull. Like that's that you can't make this too complicated because everyone's an idiot. I guess I don't know. You would think that some warning about just sucking all the fluids out of you. There are all these opportunities where they could just not. And they don't. They really don't. It's just, and I guess there's something about greed here, right? They're either too curious or too greedy. I guess there's some things that should be left undisturbed. But they got a lot of warnings, and they just blithely barrel forward.
I'm sure the plague beast will be fine. Yeah.
Who needs fluids?
Whatever's
right?
in this box is almost certainly worth it.
Yeah.
And so we see the Americans find that at the same time where Evie and our remaining heroes, or just heroes at this point, Rip Jailer, open up Imhotep's tomb, and they find only a mummy who looks kind of different from the other mummies Evie has ever seen.
He looks a little wet.
Yeah.
He's kind of wet. Oddly fleshy and wet for a mummy.
As she's trying to put her finger on what makes him a different mummy, both Rick and Jonathan say at the same time, he's a little juicy.
Yes, exactly.
So they identify that he was buried alive because they see fingernail marks on the inside and a message he's full on carved out saying death is only the beginning, which, again, just horrifically ominous. Maybe we lock that right back up. But no.
But once again, a nice touch about the film. The film is so tasteful. They don't show just gory, explicit violence a lot of times, but claw marks on a sarcophagus. It just, again, there's a kind of a light touch about the film, like for an adventure epic, there's a sensitive touch to it. And that's actually, like we talked about, it's supposed to be a family friendly film. And so they don't show a lot of like blood, and whatnot, but they do leave a lot of things expressed with implication, and like it's nice, it's like classy.
We may not see any blood, come to think of it.
When I think about it, is there any blood? Like,
people get punched in the face and don't bleed.
They get
stabbed.
Yeah,
we really don't see that. Like, lighting on fire doesn't result in blood, so I feel like that was on the table, or the cutaways.
Sure.
Interesting.
Exactly. Yeah. So
they definitely colored inside the lines, but it's still a great horror movie, and there's certainly horrific elements of it.
Let's see. So they find the juicy mummy.
And the Americans show that they found the organ jars from the opening thing and a thick black book they don't identify, but we already talked about, Book of the Dead. Same unlocking mechanism on there. And that Evie remarks they need a key to open it, and kind of it's a fuck you to oh wow, you got a book, huh? It'd be a shame if you didn't have that key. And then as they're sitting around the fire, sort of explaining about the scarabs being in the tomb and that they were eating the man alive. They talk about how he was condemned to the worst curse ever. Evie's kind of just like skimming these things that were on the sarcophagus. Find out that it was reserved for only for the worst of the worst offenders, apparently.
Yeah. Again, the Hamdai. We mentioned that earlier.
For sure.
And so they return to camp that night, and Evelyn is examining the Book of the Dead.
She steals it from the American professor who's sleeping.
Yeah.
Which we see her sort of sneak by Rick, thinking she's been really sneaky because he's got his eyes closed. And Rick says, "That's called stealing." Evelyn says, "According to my brother, this is called borrowing." And just gives him a big old grin.
Boom.
She's very pleased with herself. Rick is unsure about opening this book, but Evie just plows ahead, and a whipping wind comes by afterwards, once again being like, "Hey, maybe don't do this."
Yeah. The most knowledgeable amongst us are the ones leading us to our doom. Unfortunately, it's just kind of a classic in I guess the genre, curious to a fault.
And so she starts to read from the book, and as she delightedly finishes out the last passage, we see both the mummy come back to life, and then in a smash cut, the American guy she stole it from say, "No, you must not read from the book." And I gotta give it to him. He's right.
Yeah, he got that one right.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so immediately a swarm of locusts just bursts up, descends on Hominoptera.
Things start getting bad. They did the thing they should not have done. And now the mummy the mummy's out. They released the mummy, and now all hell's starting to break loose.
And because of the locusts, both parties are driven inside the temple, essentially, the city in there, which we now know to have the mummy inside of it. And so we get a big tense moment of like, that can't be good.
Crap, locusts. Oh, geez. Yeah.
And so as they flee in there, we get one American who, again, they really don't give them names through this. I'm sorry if this is there's probably a Gerald or a Ferguson or a somebody that their names or whatever they are. We get the American with the glasses, mind you, who while everybody is running in the chaos, his glasses get knocked off and crushed even. Crushed by Benny, who is fleeing as Benny loves to do. It's one of his favorite hobbies, fleeing away from his allies and saying, fuck you.
So he really screws over the hunky, bespeckled expeditioner or the treasure seeker. By the way, this is the first, I believe, the first moment when we have one of the explorers getting all their fluid sucked out of them. This starts a kind of...
He keeps his fluid for a moment, but I guess, and this is also a good point to call out, that Benny was not somebody that opened the box. Whenever they were reading all these awful things, Benny actually said, you know what? I'm good, and left. So the people that did open the box are jaunty, fez misogynist man, then 3 different Americans. So there's really 4 people here.
There is a death curse associated with this, and yes, Benny, he does have self-preservation.
And there were 5 jars, but one of them is smashed. And so I believe we cover the smashing here because this is a very horror-coded scene because the guy is he's kind of holding his glasses up. He's like, I can't see. And then he's asking, he's like, hey guys, hey, is anybody there? Yeah. And then we hear a horrific scream, another smash cut to black with an awful scream. And the next time we see this man, he is missing his eyes and his tongue.
That's right. He gets pulled apart piece by piece. The mummy is collecting organs. He's got to grow back, and he starts with the bespeckled hunky treasure hunter.
Bespectacled.
Yeah.
He could be bespeckled too. I mean, he's been out in the sun a lot, frankly.
Good. Yes. Good point. Good point. Yes.
I am bespeckled as a redhead.
Yes. Yeah. Good clarification. Thank you.
We kind of don't see him for a second. There's a swarm of scarabs chasing Rick and Jonathan and Evie further into the tomb. Evie leans up against a wall and falls backwards, leading her to find the American with glasses, this guy, who, when he turns around and sees her, when she sees him, rather, he's not seeing much of anything.
No.
She then sees what has been wrought, then we shortly after that see the mummy. We see Imhotep in the room now, and he sort of menaces towards Evie. The hero, Rick and Jonathan, sort of get in there, and let's see. We see the mummy start to call Evie an ox and a moon, or at least...
He seems to recognize her, maybe. He sees what he believes is his long-lost love, or we're not there's something mysterious, but he's enamored of her.
He at least pauses the murder for a second to reflect on this, giving Rick and Jonathan enough time to sort of come in here, shoot him up just a little bit. Again, it doesn't really do anything, but it just sort of distracts him or gives him a moment. He is at his somewhat weakest because the more he's going to gather from these people, the more he becomes human up until becoming immortal, invincible, unstoppable, ultimately, if he achieves his goals, is the deal.
Yeah, but he's a little ragged. He's been not quite dead, but died for a while, and
But he does have eyes and a tongue now.
He does.
He's starting from the bottom.
Exactly. So they let the mummy out. One guy is already getting ravaged by him, and they're being chased, and
well, at this point the Magi show back up and they're kind of unhappy. We'll say.
Understandably. This thing we've been trying to do for 3,000 years. Well, damn it.
Oh, you just fucked that up real good for us, didn't you?
You just crapped on our cornflakes, didn't you? Yeah,
and,
thanks.
They're trying to impress the situation upon that to be like, because it's the first time, they're like, hey guys, like, this was bad. And Rick says, no, don't worry, I got him. I shot the mummy or whatever. And the Magi is kind of like frowning at him like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But thank you. Thank you for that. Like,
I'm sure you did, buddy. Good job there.
And at this point, because everybody else has made it out, the Americans, our heroes, whatever, we cut to Benny in the tomb, the only remaining person still down there, and he encounters the mummy, and in a true Benny moment, as the mummy is menacing towards him, Benny just starts to pray to any god he can think of.
I thought this was a really funny moment. Benny has on his possession any number of religious relics and indicators of religious affiliation. He first tries a cross, hoping the cross will ward off the mummy, to no avail. He then tries a crescent moon, but Islam is not going to save him from the mummy. But he has a Star of David on him, and the mummy recognizes that and assumes that Benny is one of the Jewish slaves that were in Egypt and were impressed into labor by the pharaohs. And so the mummy, assuming that Benny is a Jewish slave, takes him on as his henchman, his minion.
He says it could be useful. He does say language of the slaves for sure. It's a very funny moment, especially because like Benny, he knows all the languages, like polyglot icon Benny.
He's got some skills. Yeah.
He knows what to do if he's in a bind. And
he's a weasel, but he's a smart
every
weasel.
God he can think of.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you know what? Maybe one of these is real. Like,
I think Benny stands for us all. Because honestly, like, I think we're more likely to be Benny than any other character.
If there's no atheists,
if we're being honest with ourselves, If we're gonna just look starkly in the mirror, we're all Benny, aren't we? I think we are. But anyway.
And so Imhotep does also, at least, not that he probably has to, he could just menace Benny, but he does hold out his little disgusting, juicy hand full of gold and is like, I will reward you for this as well if you help me find these other jar holder things.
Yes.
And so we cut to Fort Bryden, Cairo, is what it labels it as, but just back to Cairo, essentially, where a storm is rolling in over the city. It's very clearly showing us through the environment now, like, bad things coming in now.
So as I mentioned before, the British still have quite a military presence in supposedly independent Egypt, and that's Fort Bryden. That's the context of that, right? So a British military outpost, a remnant of colonialism.
They actually couldn't even film this movie in Egypt at the time because of political unrest. So fun echoes of that resounding throughout, like literally both in the movie and outside of it.
Right.
But they're there. Rick is packing to leave. Evie unpacks just as quickly, being like, no, we're going to stop him. We're going to stop this juicy mummy. And since she awakened him, she feels a little... whatever, but that's another cute little trope of the like packing the bag. I take the bag out. I do the thing of the whatever. And so as that's happening, Evie says to him at one point, she's like, "We have to stop him," and Rick is like, "We? Oh, like I was contracted to take you there, and now we're we." So.
Yeah, no, he wants to Han Solo out of there as quickly as possible, but like all mercenaries with a heart of gold. He doesn't. He sticks around. Let's see. But that's right. They find a pilot.
He runs into his old bro, Winston, who is a drunk, rosy-cheeked fellow that we learn is sort of a Royal Air Force pilot. And we really don't spend a lot of time with him. We'll come back to old Winston, but he is a jaunty fellow. But we quickly cut to our tongueless, eyeless friend now, who is meeting with somebody that I don't know who he was told he was meeting with by Benny, but we see that it is Imhotep sitting across from him, whereas this man clearly cannot see.
This is as his name is Burns, American explorer who is now missing eyes and a tongue. Burns Burns. I'm going to remember that name since I've been calling him Hunky.
I don't think you have to. He's not here for much longer.
Yeah,
frankly,
yeah.
so
I'm learning his name just at the last minute. Yeah, that's my bad.
It seems respectful. Yeah.
But yeah, so he thinks he's having a meeting with someone, but no, in fact, it is the mummy, and the mummy is here for a second helping of poor Burns. That eyes and tongue were not enough. We have the first instance of just all the fluids being drained out of one of the Americans who opened the cursed chest. The mummy renders him a human prune, and rest in peace, Burns.
That's very gay code of you to learn his name as you're sending him on his way. Like that's.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're skipping ahead here, but if we're gonna have a gayest moment, then it's gonna be just draining a man of all their fluids in order to stay alive. Because I feel for you, mummy. I want to subscribe to your newsletter. I related to this moment.
I'm learning your name only after you're purely fucked, and
exactly.
I'm sending you on your way now, Burns.
Didn't want to learn your name, wasn't asking, but oh well, okay, fine. Okay, Burns, bye. Well, we got more to say about the mummy, for sure. We would hate for even a single scarab beetle to go uncounted and unrecognized. So stay tuned. We have the second episode for The Mummy coming up real quick.